We're going 3-0. It's presented by Comerica. I'm Dannie Rogers, and ahead of the Lions season opener against the San Francisco 49ers, I have none other than senior team reporter Keiana Martin joining me to go 3-0. Look, we're going to talk three big headlines. Two key defensive players are coming back. We're going to beg the question, can this Niners defense return to 2019 Super Bowl form? And we want to know what that dynamic of Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo in that quarterback room looks like. So, Keiana, let's jump into it. Nick Bosa, defensive lineman. He's coming back. He was that rookie defensive player of the year in 2019. He suffered an ACL injury last season. He's back. He's good to go. What has his preseason looked like so far?
I think when you think of Nick Bosa, you think about how dominant he was back in 2019, just his rookie year in the league. And I think something that stands out about his offseason, his preseason, and his training camp, well, he wasn't there in the preseason, but during his training camp, left tackle Trent Williams said he's never seen a guy come back from an ACL injury and look better, look faster, look stronger. We're talking about a guy who has 3% body fat. And I kid you not, like I can't even imagine having 3% body fat, but that's what Nick Bosa is. He's a football guy and he is so eager to get back on this field. He said that while he was rehabbing from his ACL injury, he had September 12th circled on his calendar because he knew that was his goal. He wants to be back on the field by week 1, and he made that happen. He stayed true to his promise to himself. But just during this whole offseason program and training camp, the guy looks fantastic. I told you what Trent Williams said, and he's been as advertised. So I'm excited to see if he lives up to what the left tackle said. They go head-to-head in training camp one-on-one battle, so he would know better than anybody. But I think the idea of a healthy Nick Bosa being faster and stronger than 2019 can be a little frightening.
I was going to say, how much scarier can it be? I mean, I talked to head coach Dan Campbell here in Detroit this week. The first defensive player he mentions is Nick Bosa. It doesn't even refer to the ACL injury and what he had to come back. But have you noticed any mental aspect of coming back from an injury like this that he's had to overcome?
Yeah, so I actually got the chance to talk to him about that. And he said, you know what, he's focused on just being healthy. He doesn't want to necessarily think about the injury. He doesn't want that to be top of mind. He wants to just go out there and play ball. And that's exactly what it looks like. You're not necessarily seeing the brace on the knee or anything. He's just taking the field as if nothing has ever happened. So as of right now, we haven't seen any mental hurdles that the edge rusher has had to overcome, but he's just more than eager just to get back on the field finally.
And joining Bosa coming back is veteran Dee Ford, who suffered a back injury last season. He is back. How much does he add to this defense when he's out there?
I think when you think of Nick Bosa and Dee Ford, it's kind of like a 1A and 1B type of situation. They complement one another and they make life so much easier for the rest of the 49ers defensive line, not just the D line, but also the rest of the 49ers defense. That allows the 49ers to rotate players in the interior. It allows them to give some guys a rest, give them a break, keep guys fresh on game days. And then you can't overstate how much that benefits the cornerbacks, the 49ers linebackers. When you have a guy like Dee Ford that's healthy and on the field, and Nick Bosa, who both are just equally incredible talents, the corners are back there like, my job's pretty much easy because of the pressure that they're adding onto the quarterbacks.
Okay, let's talk about this defense that ranked nearly number 1 in every single defensive category in 2019. I mean, what does it entail getting that defense back up to the speed it was?
Then defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, he was enjoying everything that he was watching. And now we have DeMeco Ryans, who's up and coming right behind him. And he has his own flair to it, but it's essentially what we saw, or what we hope is going to be what we saw in 2019. Now, here's the funny thing, though. The guys don't like talking about 2019. It was an incredible run for this team, but they said that was in the past. They're focused on now. But the 49ers do have a lot of those similar pieces and a lot of those same pieces that they did have in that 2019 team. But I think what's really important here is that these guys must stay healthy. That's why we just completely skipped the 2020 season. We didn't even talk about that. You brought up 2019, and everyone calls 2020 a wash for the 49ers because they dealt with an unheard of amount of injuries, literally starting from week 1 throughout the entire season. So I think a lot of what this defense can do, and especially when it pertains to how they looked in 2019, a lot of that will have to do with the health of this team and these guys staying on the field.
Availability is the best ability. All right. How much can week 1 set the tone for this Niners defense going forward?
Well, I feel like it's a little reminiscent, and here I go. I say the guys don't like to talk about 2019, but I'm going to talk about 2019 because they started the season with back-to-back road games. They're going to start in Detroit and then follow up with a trip to Philadelphia. And they did the same thing in 2019. They started in Tampa Bay and then followed up in Cincinnati. And I think a lot can help set that tone for this team, especially if you're starting hot. This team knows what they're capable of. They've seen each other for the past several months, but how do they match up against a different offensive line? I feel like going into this game, you cannot underestimate what Detroit's O-line is and who they are. I feel like that's one of the strengths of Detroit's team. So it's going to be a tall test, but I feel like it's a good litmus test for this team going forward, how they fare and how they could fare the rest of the season.
Okay, let's get to this offensive side of the ball. Even here in Detroit, we are hearing about the quarterback situation over there in San Francisco. Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo. What is the latest update on who and how much they will be playing here in week 1?
That's the $1,000,000 question that everybody wants to know. And Kyle Shanahan is keeping his cards pretty close to the chest. He's not revealing too much. He wouldn't even reveal who was the starter yet for week 1, although we have a pretty decent idea. We can talk about what Jimmy Garoppolo has done. He's 24-9 as the 49ers starter. But on the contrary, he's missed 23 games due to injury. That's huge for the 49ers. And that's why they took that pretty massive insurance policy, grabbing Trey Lance in the draft. Now, with Jimmy Garoppolo there, the 49ers know what they get. They know what kind of quarterback they have. And that's why the 49ers will look to him in week 1. But I would not be surprised if Kyle Shanahan just sprinkles in a little bit of Trey Lance. You never know what he might have up his sleeve. He's one of the most dynamic play callers in the NFL. So it's going to be fun to see how he implements Trey Lance, or if he doesn't at all. He did suffer a chipped bone in his finger, his throwing finger, in the last preseason game. So they're going to monitor how he progresses this week in practice. So he could be there. They could be stashing him in the back pocket, but it's something that I'm pretty certain that not just 49ers fans and Lions fans, but a lot of the NFL can't wait to see.
We do want to know, the rookie, Trey Lance, how has he grown over this training camp and preseason that you've been able to see?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that stands out, Kyle Shanahan said that he's been pretty much as advertised. What they expected out of Trey Lance is exactly what they got. You turn on his film, you look at what he did at North Dakota State, his mobility, his big arm, his athleticism. That's one of the things that made Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers want to jump up 9 spots to draft him at number 3 overall. But now you actually see him at practice take the field. You see his build and how he commands the huddle and how he looks, his mechanics and throwing. And he's very impressive. And I think one thing that, everybody has been, focusing and zeroing in on is just his running ability and his mobility, what he's been able to do. You see Kyle Shanahan drawing up plays for the quarterback where he's keeping the ball, or where, he has those design runs. And it's been really, really exciting to see. Now, of course, I think we have to temper expectations. At the end of the day, he still is a rookie. And he's a rookie that has only played in 1 college game over the last, I think it's about 500 days. So we got to temper expectations. He looks good on the field, but we got to reel it back in a little bit. He still has to develop and still has to completely master Kyle Shanahan's very, very complex offense.
Incredible insight, Keiana. Thank you so much. Detroit fans, please give Keiana some love. It'll be her first time in the Motor City. Safe travels, Keiana. We can't wait to see you guys in the 49ers here at Ford Field.
Can't wait to see you guys too. And feel free to share any recommendations for the city of Detroit.
Got you.